We are recording live. We got video. Welcome to another episode of Talkin Top Tier. I am your host, always doing the most, Tone the Boss. This week, this is a guest I've been wanting to have on here for the longest. I had one of the greatest podcast interviews. This guy was there for that. We'll get into that a little bit later. Right now, I want to introduce the world. Well, he's already done that, but my world, I'm introducing DJ Verbatim. Where's my claps? We need claps for this man.
Yo, 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 what up, what up, what up? Thank you for having me, Tone.
Verbatim, what's good, fella? This feels like a long time coming. Well needed. I'm excited. I know you very well, and we'll talk about the beginnings of me knowing you and where you are now, and honestly how proud of your journey and how inspiring it's been towards my career. But you give the people your words on who you are and what you stand for.
Wow.
That's a little bit of pressure, man.
No, you're all good. You're all good. Great. Thanks for that introduction, first of all. Man, I'm just Tim Frazier. You know, at the end of the day, music has been, I always tell a lot of my wedding clients, music is my first memory in my life. You know, I remember dancing to music videos and MTV when it was still music videos. And that's my earliest memories. You know, music's always been, I was the kid at high school that had headphones on. I'm the kid that doing dishes at home has headphones on. You know, no matter what I was doing, music was always a part of it. I remember my life in stages of music. Mm-hmm. You know, I remember what song I was listening to when big moments in my life were happening.
Same.
So, but at the end of the day, you know, now I'm a businessman. I have my own entertainment business, as you do. Mm-hmm. And that's what I found out was my passion, even more music and being a business owner, and kind of a CEO of my own world. Yep. Is kind of where my passion is. And being able to collaborate, network, meeting new people with hunger, with people with passion in the business is kind of where I'm at right now. But yeah, I mean, started DJing in 2008 as a karaoke host. Started doing weddings in about 2011 and been doing those ever since. Started my business in 2020. I know not the best year to start a business, but it was actually a blessing in disguise for me because it kind of allowed me to learn how to be a businessman. Yeah. But yeah, been having my two most successful years I've had the last 2 years as far as business is concerned, and doing what I love to do. So that's a quick nutshell about myself.
That's amazing. And your story, very similar to mine, I feel. And it's exciting. Like I said, you're a big inspiration. I literally remember the day me and Chuck were at Lindale Mall selling CDs. It was our Big Bang days. And me and you crossed paths at Foot Locker. And you were so excited. You were like, bro, DJ Brian Lee's about to train me to be a DJ. And we knew each other, but like we weren't that well acquainted to like just have a little chit chat. Right. So like that's how I could see the excitement. Like you were just literally glowing with excitement that day. And I will never forget that. And it's like, you know, that was probably just a regular day to you. But I remember like this dude found something he's so excited and so passionate about. And, you know, I'm selling my CDs. I'm doing my thing musically. I'm like, you know, this is the start of, I don't know when he's going to actually be DJing. And really, I think it was like 3 to 6 months after. Like, I felt like you guys went through a training course for a while before it actually happened. But I remember your excitement specifically that day at Lindale, at the Foot Locker, when it was where like GameStop and stuff was. Yep. And, you know, since remembering that moment to where you are now is just the dopest shit ever. Like, you literally had your passion, you followed your dreams, you became a top DJ in Iowa, and then, you know, you started your own business and became, you know, your own thing, which is really cool. God, let's talk about what DJing means for you first. Yeah. And then we'll talk about the start of the business and how we intertwine again.
So, first off, to be completely honest, I don't remember that day. But it was kind of funny me even becoming a DJ, and I kind of started there because I've known Brian. My first job was at Hy-Vee here on Oakland Road. Nice. First job ever, well, other than like a paper route. Yep. But Brian was the shift manager there, and he was a DJ. At the time, I didn't know what a DJ was. The only DJ I knew was DJ Jazzy Jeff, and that's because I watched Fresh Prince. Yeah. You know, still didn't know what a DJ really was.
Yeah, that didn't really give you a good description.
No.
It was a great show.
But me and Brian had developed a friendship at that point. I was 17. He might have been like 21, 22, something like that. Somewhere in those age ranges. And then I ended up, 21, just like every other 21-year-old, you start, legally you can drink. So you go out and and it seemed like, 07, 08 was when Brian was everywhere everybody wanted to be, right? He was that DJ.
He was that guy.
At that point.
Yeah.
He was that guy.
He put Big Bang on. Like, I'll
He
go on
really
the
did.
record and
Yeah,
say, Brian Lee put Big Bang
Yeah.
on. There is no Big Bang blowing up without DJ Brian
He was
Lee.
a huge, and I was all a part of that. I was a small part. That was me just getting my foot in the door. But
Yeah.
the funny thing that you say when I was so excited was because I knew that I was determined. Brian, so I saw him at Tailgaters, which is a bar here in Cedar Rapids, obviously. I was 23 at the time. And at this point, I'd been going out to bars for 2 years. You had your Element, you had your Volume, you had those places at that point. And then you had the places that Brian was at. And those were the places that everybody wanted to be once Element and Volume kind of went out of the way. But I remember being at Tailgaters with my best friend, and I was just looking up at Brian. At this point, I'd seen him perform, probably 50 times, if not more. And I remember looking up there for probably in a daze of some sort and just thinking, I could do that.
Yeah.
I think I can do that.
Yeah.
And so I go up and talk to him. And at this point, me and Brian have rekindled our friendship. We had a lot, we both split from Hy-Vee at this point.
Yeah.
And then now that I'm 21, I see him more and more, and we're becoming friends again.
Yep.
So I went up to him and I just said, hey, what do you think about me being a DJ? And he might not even remember this, but he literally laughed at me because he remembers me being that shy, quiet kid from back in Hy-Vee. And I've always been that until music is involved.
Yeah. Yep.
He never seen me with music or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I've always been a shy, quiet kid.
Yeah.
Being the oldest of 10, music was like my way of taking being a personality in a group of 10 kids, right? Not only was I the oldest, and of course I'd get that attention, but
Oldest of how many?
10.
Man.
Yeah, there's a big group of us.
I remember the Frasers.
But
Y'all were deep.
Yeah. So when Brian, he even kind of laughed at me when I came up with this crazy idea of being a DJ. But at the same time, he saw that I was determined to be that. Yeah. So you said crazy training period. The training was essentially going out to see him DJ. And that's how I trained. I just watched what he did.
Consistency.
Just watched what he did. It was kind of a crazy time in my life. I mean, 21, 22, you're super young, 23, whatever I was.
Making mistakes.
Yeah, you're super young. You're super young. But my thing was I wanted to watch him and see what he did with the turntables. And then I could do that. Then there was a time where he'd let me get on the turntables at his shows. Yeah. And that's how I kind of just started. There wasn't really no like training session necessarily. It was more like, okay, let me watch. Okay, I think I'm ready to do 15 minutes or something like that. Let me do that, and I'd screw up and figure it all out. And because there were so many people there, and it was only a small section, it didn't really hurt anything. But at the end of the day, that's kind of how I trained. Yeah. But what DJing means to me is, once again, being one of 10 kids. My whole life was about making my own personality. I didn't want people to lump me in as a Frasier, right? Yeah. I mean, not saying I'm not proud of that, but at the same time, I didn't want, I wanted to be different. I wanted to be able to be an independent person outside of that group. Yeah. And music was that way. So what DJing has allowed me to do is kind of just express myself in a way that I feel like my brothers and sisters don't get to do. Yeah. They're all working normal 9 to 5s, and respect to them. One of my sisters is a model, so she kind of understands a little bit more. But for me, it was all about just separating myself as an individual, like you have groups, sometimes the lead singer wants to split off and do a solo record. It was kind of like that is how I felt. But I just wanted to be able to express myself. Express myself in a way. I drew when I was younger. I was kind of a draw. People knew that from me, so they'd want me to draw them pictures or whatever. Yeah. But nothing compares to the expression that I have when I'm able to play music and see people dancing to that, or tell me that they had a good time at that event, whatever it is, whether it's a wedding or bar gig or a club or whatever. Yeah. So DJing is more than just playing music to me. It's more about seeing people happy. Yeah. And we're living in a world right now where There's so much negativity, you know, whether it's social media or in the news or whatever. And me being a small part of happiness is kind of what drives me.
Yeah.
Obviously, being part of somebody's wedding day, there's really no higher honor.
I agree.
You know?
I feel the exact same way. Like to be chose to do someone's wedding, that's their moment. That's gonna last the rest of their life. It'll last even if the wedding, if the marriage don't last. They're gonna remember the DJ they had, and the other people will remember too.
And I know there's a stigma. Important. I know there's a stigma on wedding DJs, but I think that's what I bring to the table is kind of a breath of fresh air when it comes to DJing. You know, I'm doing it at a different level than most DJs. And not even like about the music. It's more about the service that I'm giving them. The customer service, you are my client and I'm going to treat you as if you're family to me. At least on this one day. And throughout the whole process, I guess I should say. So DJing is much more than just playing music to me. It's a lifestyle. You know, I think if you know me, you know that when I'm DJing, it's not, I don't turn into DJ Verbatim. I'm DJ Verbatim all the time.
Right.
It's just DJ Verbatim is playing music now. You know?
Right. Okay.
So that's kind of how what it means to me.
Okay. All right. That was good. Let's break DJing down in levels of tiers. And to me, I feel like there's 3 tiers. There's the top tier, there's the mid tier that can get there, and then there's a low tier. I think personally I'm a mid-tier DJ, and I think that's really me complimenting myself too much. But when it comes to like you, Brian, Commando, you guys are top tier. You are the elite DJs. I hear you still have like where you still rehearse nonstop. You still practice when you're at home. Talk about the hours that you've put into it, and I'll compare that to me because I still want to get booked, of course, but I'm nowhere near the level of DJ or have the passion. Like I definitely have a passion for music in general, and that's why DJing is one of the many things that I do. But the passion that you've had since that day at the mall to now as DJing, I don't come in comparison to that. I feel that way about rap. I definitely feel that. I know I have that when it comes to rap music, but the way that DJing and you are synonymous. Talk to me about the hours that you put in. Yeah,
I think first of all, you know, I got to give you respect for knowing where you're at. You know, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but yeah. But I think that's important. I think it's important. You know, for me, I put myself in a mid tier as well.
Damn.
You know,
so who's in your top tier?
Because I still get inspired by other people, and I feel like I can still be better. You know, like Commando, in my opinion, is the most talented, skill-wise DJ that Iowa has. Skill-wise. You know, we all have areas where we can improve on. You know, there's a lot of different facets of DJing.
I will say something I know for sure you've mastered is the board and knowing what everything does and being able to transition and use all of the board. That's something I'm still learning and still getting used to, and I'm not all the way comfortable with. But when I see the way that you use it and you know what everything does, you've mastered the board. That's,
thank you.
You know, very impressive. So, you know, that's an area that you've definitely mastered.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and that goes back to, like you said, it's the hours, you know, being able to screw up without anybody seeing you is kind of the key. That's why I practice so much. Yes, I've been doing this for 14 years, but I'm still going to grind when I'm at home. I still love music. You know, I still want to DJ. You know, I even if people aren't watching, you know, it doesn't matter to me. I'm still going to be the same DJ if there's 3 people there or there's 500 people there or if I'm just by myself. You know, but when I'm by myself, and that's why I know the board so well, because I've screwed up so much and trying, you know, curiosity. You know, what does this button do? Oh, okay, I can use it this way. Okay, that's cool. Or watching YouTube and seeing what people are doing with the board. I think that's a big part of a DJ is always, you know, pushing the boundaries a little bit more. You know, I didn't want people to come out to my shows and think that they were at a Brian Lee show. You know, I didn't want people to come out to my show and think they were at a Commando show. I didn't want people to come out to my show and think they were at a NYJ show. I respect all those guys, but I wanted to bring my own flavor into it.
Do you think that's part of you growing up with 10, you know, one of 10, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever like really sat down and looked like?
I guess I don't know if I've done that.
Yeah, because I feel like you being an individual means a lot to you. And like you take a lot of pride in separating yourself from everybody else. So maybe that comes from that household.
And maybe, I mean, now we're
Sorry,
turning
I'm
this
not trying
into
to
a
be a
therapy
therapist.
session.
Yeah, I just thought about that. Like, does this go deeper?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm gonna go cry now.
but that's like
No,
dope.
I do.
That's what.
So my
blossomed from
my
that.
thing with being a DJ was always, I just wanted to be in the same room as some of these guys that you've mentioned.
Okay.
You know, I wanted to be able to be. You know, I didn't want them to leave me out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted them to be like, no, you need to be a part of this conversation too.
Yep.
You know, with your Brian Lees and your Commandos and your NYJs, those are the guys that I'm considering to be top tier.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
And I think I've gotten to a point where I'm in that room. You know, and that's really my main goal. But now
You're definitely.
I want to, you know, not only want to be in that room, now I want to have like my own session that I conduct.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be able to have something to say at that table.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's what keeps driving me. I want it's at some point in my career it flipped from caring what other people thought of me as a DJ to caring what other DJs thought of me as a DJ.
Ooh, that's what separates you from mid-tier to top tier.
Yeah.
That was a segue to me playing the intro song, top tier. DJ Verbatim is top tier. All right, so I want to talk a little, and I'm going to try to get some gems from you too to make me a better DJ, because you've already done so much that's helped me, and I want to definitely give you your flowers for that. But like one thing that I know you're going to hate about me is I don't practice at home. I wish I had the time. I would love to practice and really study the board or watch other DJs on YouTube. Like when other people are watching them, I'm like, oh my God, I need to watch that. But I don't know if you see it, but I wear like 50 hats.
Yeah.
Like I don't have enough heads for the hats that I wear. So my practice is the smaller gigs. I want you to talk about the low tier and the mid tier, and you know what really makes the difference. Like, is that fair for me to even call myself a DJ if I don't practice at home? I mean, I use my board. I know the board. I'm comfortable. I blend. I know to move up and down only 5 BPM. I know the difference of playing mood music. One of my rules is I don't play the same song twice in a night.
And you shouldn't.
And then I don't play the same artist back to back. Like usually probably about 3 or 4 songs in between an artist if I even come back to them. But I try to play everybody. And one thing I do, I love genre blending and playing all genres because I love all music. So I want you to elaborate on maybe like what mid tier and low tier means to you and what other DJs should do better.
I think so. That's a very loaded question. I would say your low tier are the people that don't get paid to do DJing. I would say that's your lowest. I would say there's probably 4 tiers. We'll say. I know we've kind of had only 3 that we've been talking about, but I think they call them bedroom DJs. Like you're just either starting out or you don't care to ever perform out in public. You just kind of want to play your own music, kind of learn the craft.
Yeah.
I would say the second tier would be those people that do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they're running off Spotify, or maybe they're, you know, they don't know how to mix songs. They don't know how to blend songs. They don't know what BPMs are. They don't know. They don't have a pair of headphones with them. You know, things like that.
Yeah.
Then you have your next tier who can do a little bit of some of those things.
Yeah.
But haven't mastered that.
Yep.
And I guess mastered is probably a terrible word because you're never going to master anything, in my opinion. Okay. But at the same time, then you have the top tier are those people that not only want to get better all the time, but still practice. And I'm not saying that's part of it. I think practicing just makes you get to the next tier. Yeah. You know, if that's your desire.
Right.
But the top tier are those people that have studied the craft, you know the history, know why DJing is a thing, and still have some of that essence of even though we're in a digital world now, still know the value of analog and vinyl and cool herc parties and you know all those things. I think that's what makes people top tier. Comes down to skill, but it's more than just playing music too. You know, there's more to it than being just a music player. Being a DJ is about interaction and engagement with the crowd and taking people on a journey every time they're out to see you, you know, through a journey through time, essentially. Nostalgia is going to be a part of it. You know, you're going to have vibes where you want to dance. You're going to have vibes where you want to sing along. You know, it's a journey you're taking people through. And until you can get to that point, I don't consider, and this is all due respect to everybody on every tier or wherever you're at. But until you get to that level, I don't think you consider yourself one of the best. And even then, I'm even reluctant, even though I may be able to do all those things.
Yeah.
I still consider myself not top tier yet, just because I'm always challenging myself. I'm very challenge driven, and maybe that came from my upbringing as well. Yeah. But I set goals for myself, and I'm challenged myself to get to those goals.
Yeah.
So DJing's no different. You know, it's just my biggest passion. So obviously my goals are going to be bigger, more grandiose, more motivating, more inspirational for myself, things like that. So, but yeah, that's kind of how I would break it down. My thing is you can't just put DJ in front of your name and call yourself a DJ.
Facts.
You know,
Facts. Put in the work.
Yeah, you got to put in the
hours.
work. You got to. You got
invest. Make those investments, man. I started with Guitar Center. I got approved for the card. I went ham. Said I need all the best shit that the best people use. Like, shouldn't have probably started with that. But
bit of more you could chew.
Yeah, definitely. But I felt like it was the right thing to do. And then I called Brian, and he came over, taught me some stuff. I called Commando. He taught me some stuff. And I landed my first gig at Break Room with Job. And I had a few humbling moments there. One of the two of them that I'll bring up that directly relate to you. One of them that I'll give you three. That all relate to you and has helped me as a DJ in my journey so much. But when I was first starting, transitions weren't there. The right song at the right time. The BPMs weren't even. That's just a number on the screen at the time. That's bullshit. Like that's the lowest of low tier for me now.
For sure.
So I would just play whatever, and I just went off the room and the feeling, but I would jump all over the place. You taught me that when DJing, it should all sound like it was one song that night. It should all flow. You shouldn't be able to tell the difference, or when I'm switching songs, and I would pause in between songs and then go to the next one, or it just didn't match right. Yeah. So ever since then, I worked towards that. Another thing you taught me was my favorite thing to do. I still haven't mastered and can't do it like you, but it's mixing Usher's "Yeah" and "This Is How We Do It." I fucking love doing that. I'll never forget you showed me that at Break Room, and I still do it to this day every chance I get. Fucking love doing that. And then the other thing you weren't actually there for and probably don't even know about, but I know you've had other experiences like this. So I had DJ'd at Break Room. It maybe been a year. I'm DJing every Wednesday at Break Room. And Job, good friend of mine, we just had lunch like yesterday. I love Job to death, and I respect the hell out of him. At one point, I mean, I was getting... he don't work there anymore, so it don't matter. So I was getting, I think it's like 20% of the bar. And I'm like, dude, I need a bass. Like, just 20%. Like, some Wednesday, it's Wednesday. It's going to hit, it's going to not hit. Right. There's really not any control. It's just Wednesday. And I was like, what does the other DJs like Verbatim and everybody else that comes in on a regular, what do they get paid? Am I getting paid that? And he's like, let's talk about it. And he pulls me aside, and I've seen Job explode on people and go off. I'm like, fuck, he wants to have a conversation. Either I'm fired or he's going to snap, and I'm not going to take that shit. We're going to go out. But either way, this is probably going to be my last time DJing here. So we sit out back, and he really breaks down. He's like, yeah, you've been doing this a year. You know, you always thank me for being your first residency. So I do have to be honest with you. You're not on the level of Verbatim and these other DJs. So what I pay them is irrelevant to where you're at until you get to that level. And that shit was so humbling. But when I know him so well that the fact that he was able to present it the way he did and really sit me down one-on-one and have that conversation, I knew it came from the heart and it was honest, and then it motivated me. I have to get better. I do have to practice. I do have to do more. And I think I still ended up not doing Break Room anymore. I don't remember if it was feelings hurt or what it was, but I know I was motivated. Yeah. Honestly, if you hurt my feelings, that does motivate me. That usually makes me have to do better.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I could definitely. I know you've had other situations similar where it's like, well, what's he get paid? Well, do you do what he does?
Right.
Do you go home and practice? Have you done as many gigs? Do you know the board like you know? Like that shouldn't be. Don't point at the other DJ, especially if you're not. And I will hands down tell the world right now publicly, I'm nowhere near the DJ you are. You know, kudos to you. I strive to get good, but I don't even know if I'll be, Verbatim's level. And you're always leveling up too. So, how do you feel about the comparison thing, and then also the climate of where some DJs will charge less so they get booked? Like, that's one other thing about me is I also look at it as, since I look at myself mid-tier and you guys at top tier, I shouldn't be charging what you guys charge. But Brian has come to me on multiple occasions, stop fucking charging that. You're fucking the game up. But I'm like, I'm not where you guys are. They get a better DJ if they pay more. Like, I feel like you get better quality. You know, you guys arrive fucking 6 hours early and shit like that. I arrive 2 hours early.
Right.
You guys probably do rehearsals. I can't do rehearsals. I've always got something going on.
Right.
So I feel like I shouldn't charge that. So talk to me about the comparing the DJs and how you feel personally about the different price range on DJs and how that affects us.
So first...
Sorry, I know there's...
No, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, it's super loaded. But remind me about that question in case I forget. But I'm going to go back to a couple things you said.
Okay.
One in particular being the song thing, where I said treat the night and treat the music as if it's one big song, even though it's a lot of different songs. The reason why I said that was because I knew you. You know, I knew you made music. You made music.
I didn't know that was tailored to me. I thought that was a general.
Not really. I mean, for you, you know, normally I wouldn't put it in those words to most people because it would sound crazy.
Well, I'm glad I remembered that.
But when you think about it, a lot of the same effects that you use in your music, you can use on the board. You can use in DJing. You know, echo effects or looping or stutters or you know.
Look at it that way.
So in my mind, it was like just treat it as a song. You might have. You know, yes, it should all blend. Essentially, it should the basis, the generalization of what I was saying was the whole night should flow into one. You shouldn't have any stops. You shouldn't have any. But there are some songs in the world where it stops for a second and then boom. You know, one that comes off my mind is like Sicko Mode, how it changed into a whole different song. You know,
is the BP? There's no way that BPM's right.
It's impossible. Yeah, because half of it's one BPM and then the other half is a whole different one.
Right.
So it was kind of I was trying to just bring that to you specifically because I knew you would understand that there are going to be some moments where you might stutter something, you might echo something, you might just depending on how you're feeling, you know. So it was more about that.
That's so dope.
And then no, I didn't know about the Job thing, but I'm glad that it had that effect on you.
Yeah.
Because I think that's important.
Yeah.
Those people that put DJ in front of their names and then think they're a real DJ just because they did that, then they try to get charged what we charge, is you're disrespecting people that came before you.
Right.
You know, trust me, I was in your shoes at one point too. Now your foundation is business. So you have a better business mind than I ever did, right? But so I don't get, you know, I don't blame you for feeling like you should charge more, but how it screws up the game is I've had people come to me and say, we want to book you, but we get tone at this price.
That's actually happened?
That's happened.
Fuck.
From people
I'm
we know.
sorry.
From people we know.
Damn, that sucks.
So in their mind, they think people don't care who's there. They just want to hear music.
Yeah.
Right?
Put me on the phone next time. I was, hey, he's a better DJ. And well, I recently heard how fucking amazing you are as a wedding DJ. Like somebody straight up asked me maybe 2 weeks ago, hey, do you do all the things that Verbatim do? So I do a lot when it comes to weddings. Those are my heart. It is the highest honor, which you had mentioned. Like I do feel the same way.
Right.
But I know you're gonna you're gonna take care of them more than I can. And it's also a commitment thing.
Yeah.
Now I will give you my all, but like I said, I'm not doing rehearsal dinners, and then I'm gonna show up probably 2 hours max before.
Right.
I know you guys show up extra early, and like I hear you might even have like a script or like you guys are on the same page.
Yeah.
I'm asking them for a timeline, and I will do everything you said to a T, and then I'm gonna kill it in the reception. But I let them take the lead. Now I do give them organization, like, hey, here's the timeline I want, and this will actually help you with the wedding. That I can say I absolutely do, and I know I do a great job at weddings. But I feel like you probably not care more because I really do care. a lot.
I wouldn't say care more. I know what you mean.
Yeah, you're more dedicated.
Yeah.
And I know I shouldn't be charging the same amount as you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a thing that, you know, we battle all the time as far as, you know, I consider myself a premium DJ when it comes to weddings. I mean, I've had people specifically say, you know, we want to have you in, but if I can get Tone at this, or I can get XYZ at this price, then why, you know, because in their mind,
call me. I will tell them why you.
Well,
spend the extra.
At the end of the day,
we'll both sit down with you and explain.
Yeah, well, they know. This person that I'm specifically thinking about knows that.
Yeah.
They had the same thing happen at weddings.
Yeah.
I'm their preferred DJ.
Yeah.
But they'll have clients say, well, we want somebody cheaper
in our budget,
you know, in our budget. And I try to be budget friendly, but I also, the big thing,
you gotta know your value,
the big thing is worth, you know, you got to know what you bring to the table and what you're worth. So I'm more, you know, hey, there's a place for everybody, but at the same time, we are battling those people that undercut.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's something I'm proud of. I've never done. Like, if somebody, I can get him, I'm not just gonna hit him with a lower price. Like I refuse to. That's just wrong.
Well, sadly, there are DJs that
will hit your gig or hit your residency.
There's some that I would say are even better than me.
Okay.
You know, that undercut because they just want to get the gig.
Ugh.
You know,
I don't need it that bad.
Well,
we make our living off of it, but I would. My
Maybe,
pride is worth more than money.
Yeah, at the end of the day, and that's kind of how I feel too. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I think that's what people love about me the most. And I think somehow I make that tangible. So that's something that I can't, but you can't put a price on that.
Yeah.
You know, I can't say, oh, I'm going to charge a passion fee of $100,000 or whatever. You know, obviously that's ridiculous, but even $500, like that's my passion, just because I love what I do. You know, there's no price you could put on passion.
Yeah.
But people that come to my shows leave there thinking that guy was different.
Yeah.
You know, whether it was my personality, it wasn't even, it has nothing to do with even the music, right? It's about the service that I'm giving them.
Yeah.
There are, you know, you mentioned timelines and things like that. Like I'm hands-on with the timeline. I'm hands-on with the layout. I don't want you to just put me in the corner just because that's what you do with every DJ.
Right.
I want to see the place and I'll help you set it up to where it's going to make sense acoustically.
Yeah.
Sonically. Like I'm just more hands-on. And I'm not saying that means I'm more committed. That doesn't mean that. It's just you have to do those little things if you consider yourself a premium DJ. You have to do a little bit more than the next guy. You have to show that you're different. And that's kind of the battle that I'm having, especially as a new business, is most people have a budget, right? They know what they're going to spend. Most budgets are not. More likely the budget's going to be smaller than it is going to be bigger for a DJ, especially. We're usually the last vendor. You know, people don't understand the value. So my mission right now is to teach and educate people on what a good DJ can really do for your wedding. Because really, at the end of the day, if maybe I'm biased, but the wedding DJ is the most important vendor you're going to pick.
Yeah.
Personally, I think between that and the photographer. Now that doesn't mean videography or catering. People come there for the food. But
and
tell me one wedding you remember what you ate at the wedding.
I remember.
You know, you might remember one or two.
I remember weddings where there was a bad DJ.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that was even before I was DJing.
Right.
That actually motivated me to get into weddings because I went to one. And they had a shitty DJ. Like, it was just horrible. Like, bro, I don't have that song. I don't have that song. I was like, did you give him a list? Like, these are not songs that you like.
Right.
And he showed up late and just played whatever he felt like, didn't have their songs, and played one request, which brought everybody out on the dance floor. And that was at the very end of the night. And
of course.
Like, so disrespectful.
Yeah, it's things like that make me want to do the in between the lines things, you know, the things that most people don't notice or don't even care about. You know, I'm not the type of DJ I'm not the type of person that wants to take shortcuts. Yeah. You know, I want to work and grind to earn what I deserve, right? So, yeah, I could be charging more than what I charge now, but I don't want to just do that just because I can.
Yep.
You
so
know?
then now let's circle back to that last question.
Yeah.
Is it hurting the DJ climate when we have these different price ranges? Should we have a set price? Should there be a fucking Iowa DJ coalition that says, hey guys, we're not taking no less than this, but also you shouldn't be charging this? Like, should there really be tiers and we all agree on where, like, and vote or something? Or it's just everybody's in for their own business? What should we do?
Good question. I mean, there is no right answer to that. To be completely honest, I think there's a place for everybody. Yeah. The thing is you have to know that what you're charging is worth your time. Don't just say $500 because you know it's cheaper than everybody else.
Right.
because I guarantee you, no matter how bad of a DJ you are, you're worth more than $500. You know,
There was a time I charged $500 for weddings,
and that was too
that's
low.
when Brian
That's too low.
fucking chewed my head up.
But I do also believe that there's enough work for everybody, and every couple doesn't have a $2,500 budget or $3,000 budget. Not every you can't expect that.
Yeah.
Now, what they have to understand is, if you go lower than X amount, you're going to get lower quality.
Exactly.
You know, sadly, the wedding DJ is the one that takes the biggest hit on that when it comes to weddings. They are the ones that, you know, I've had several times where people are like, well, I don't, you know, I want a good DJ. I want a great DJ, and you sound like you're great, but I only have $700. Well, sorry. Like, you know, there's other people I'm sure that will do it for that. But I put too much into a wedding to
justify.
To justify that. Like, there's no way. And as we speak, I am creating a team. I'm bringing in some other DJs on to kind of help, and maybe that's kind of what my way of a solution. You know, now I have DJs at every level that, you know, if you want me, you're going to spend a premium, but I have other DJs that may be more budget friendly for you.
You might have a $700 DJ.
I might have one. If it makes sense, you know, as long as they feel compensated and I feel compensated as far as the business owner. You know, I'm learning that's what I'm learning as a businessman is that kind of thing. But I do think, you know, I respect everybody for doing what they do. It's hard to do what we do. It's hard to get in front of people of all races and creeds and colors and religions and make everybody have a good time. You know, somebody's going to hate every song you play. Somebody in that room is going to hate every song you play. So people don't understand how hard it is to make everybody have a good time.
And that's one of my secret goals that I actually have never said out loud. I always look for that person that is like, he's not going to dance to shit. I'm going to make him dance tonight. Something's going to happen where I make his old ass or his hating looking ass or just angry ass dance and smile. Like that's my goal.
I'm very much like that too.
I succeeded.
Yeah, I'm very much like that too. It's you know, because just like, I mean, think about Kobe, for instance, Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. You know, they would pick people out in the crowd and say, whether they made it up or not, I heard Michael Jordan would make stuff up about people. Like they talked about.
He said this shit.
He did. You're right. Same thing. Like you're saying, you pick out the one person. You know what I ask for all my clients? I ask them a question of where they rate their guests on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being they don't like to party, 10 being party animals.
That's interesting.
And then they'll say, if they say like a 6 or something, then I know I'm gonna have to bring a little bit more energy, right? If they say it's an 8, then it's like, okay, we're gonna have a great night. Like I don't have to do much in that, in the way of
I'm in my element,
right? In the way of you know, extraness, I don't have to do much.
I get to be me,
but it kind of gives me an idea of what to expect.
That's interesting.
So that's one of the questions that I ask.
That's a safe question too.
Yeah,
like, even if they have to say too, okay, you're gonna bring old people and kids. All right, cool.
And then one thing I do also is before I even do introductions or anything, I introduce myself to everybody.
Okay.
In the audience, I introduce myself to the guests. I say, hey, I'm gonna be your DJ for the evening, and then I'll tell them where they rated them at. So I'll say, you know, one of the questions I ask all my clients is on a scale of 1 to 10. Where do you know, 0 being, or 1 being don't like to party, 10 being party animals, where do you rate your guests? And then you have people that will yell out, oh, I'm a 7 or I'm a 6 or I'm a 5. And I pick out those certain people. If they say like 4, I'm like, you're the ones I got to worry about, you know? And I'll say that. I'll say, okay, this is the table we need to worry about over here.
Have some fun with it.
You got to. And then if you got one group in there that's parties, they're probably half drunk already. They're saying we're 10s, and you guys are the party. And then I'll say I'm gonna need you guys to bring these guys up. You know. So it's just there's little things like that I've learned. And no, by no means am I saying I'm the best wedding DJ. I'm not even the best DJ. You know, but I do think I do a lot of the elements of DJing well. I'm one of the only ones that can bring a lot of those together. As far as the business, as far as the skills, as far as the, you know, organization and you know, all of it. And I think that's what people forget is like they just think, oh, if I have a huge dance floor and everybody's dancing all night long, then it's a successful wedding. No. I think if everybody leaves there saying I had a good time, regardless of what that meant to them, because some people come to a wedding not expecting to dance. You know, they don't They don't have any intention on dancing.
Yep.
And it's impossible to get them to dance.
Yep.
Unless the bride like drags them up on the dance floor.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, some people just come there to socialize. And if that's your version of fun, then I just want to create an environment that allows you to do whatever it is that you consider fun.
Yeah.
That's kind of my whole thing.
Yeah.
I just spilled my beans out all over this podcast.
That's fucking amazing. I fucking love it.
That's essentially my whole thing.
I absolutely love it. Book this guy. Don't book me. No, you're absolutely amazing. God, there's so many places that I want to go with you.
Yeah.
Pause. No,
Yeah, yeah.
we don't
Whoa,
pause
whoa.
anymore.
Time
We
out.
don't pause anymore.
Yeah, 2022, we don't do that.
Yeah, but man, so I actually started writing them down. So just a rundown of where we're gonna go, and we're gonna reel it all in. But
Sure.
I want to get to you starting your business.
Yeah.
We got to talk the Iowa Music Awards.
Sure.
But something that you had mentioned there that I think transitions to something else I want to talk about was people saying, oh, I can just get toned for this price.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for the longest, people have been trying to pit me against you or pit us against each other. And, I've made some mistakes as well that I do want to publicly apologize on this podcast. I've always been a fan, sir. You are an inspiration. There would be no DJ Tone, at least, without you. And then also, like I said, from the beginning, when I saw your passion about something, I saw that and thought I want to be passionate about something like that too. So you have played a big role, and like I mentioned times that you don't even remember. Right. But then I love that your words about making it one song throughout the night. I didn't know that was just like, to me, I thought that was something you generally say. But I hung on to that, so I'm glad I did because that was catered and you remembered. And now I get to take it to the next level. I didn't even relate it to my music.
Right.
So there is things that I would do different in my music than my DJing.
Right.
But now you just open up a can of worms.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah.
still inspiring me and dropping gems. So thank you for
Yeah,
that.
of course.
One of the things where people try to pin us the most against each other, or I get messages about, are your posts. Are your social media posts. I almost get either a phone call, a message, it's shared to me, and it's like, he's talking about you, or do you think he should have said that? And they always want my opinion on it. I want you to talk about these posts, how they should be received, because I've received them both ways. I've received them as, well, actually, every time I see it, I'm the person that takes bad feedback and love it and do better from it.
Right.
So whether it's about me specifically, I always take the gems from it, where even if you're venting a frustration, okay, I better not do this. I better not do that. I better not do that.
Right.
There was one about a wedding. I don't think this one was about me, but I did discover tonight that there was a wedding where they had reached out to me and we lost communication. So I apologize to whoever that was. I hope I had moved to Texas, because I've never flaked on an event like ever.
Right.
So if they were talking about me and there was no deposit, I do get a shit ton of inquiries that go nowhere.
Right.
So I probably thought it was an inquiry that wasn't going anywhere, and then you end up taking the gig. So you got the better deal out of that. I will say that, but I do apologize for that. And I promise it was that only one situation out of probably 100+ weddings at this point.
Right.
So back to the post. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Had to get that out.
Good.
How do you want your post to be received when you're venting your frustration about other DJs?
So I can honestly say, first and foremost, I don't think I've ever did a post that was subliminally about you.
Thank you.
I can say that wholeheartedly.
Oh, I'm clear.
Yeah.
Leave me alone, you fuckers.
Probably because you're not even on my radar. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I had to bring the temperature back down.
I'm going to cut this and make it a snippet, and we're going to use just that. Yeah. Watch the full episode.
Yeah, that's the clickbait.
Yeah.
So what I've learned after starting my business is what running a business really means, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I can honestly say that probably 95% of the posts that I put out there are just for educational purposes, to put out there for people that may book a wedding someday, may book a DJ someday, just to tell them what to not book or what to look for in a DJ. Because there's DJs that are doing this or DJs doing that, and that's just not what all DJs do. Because right now we're battling a stigma, especially in this market, in Cedar Rapids and this area, where not only is everybody kind of more stingy with their money, they don't want to pay a lot of money for somebody that plays music in their mind. But also the wedding industry is the same way. You know, everything, it's bad. We're just battling getting our worth, you know? So those posts, yeah, some of them may be out of frustration, but they're mostly proactive. They're not reactive of somebody. There are some that are.
Yeah. I remember one specifically where you're like, I'm not going to name the guy.
Yeah, I think that
it's like, I'm glad I'm not that guy. I was like, okay, I didn't have something. All right.
I think I know the one you're talking about, and it wasn't
okay.
you.
Yeah.
I think.
No, I knew that one wasn't.
So that was just a surprise to me because one, I didn't know that stuff that people still did that. I think in this particular case, the DJ didn't know the timeline.
Yeah.
So to me, how do you do a first dance if you don't know what time the first dance is going to be?
Yeah.
So you're a part of that. So you should be the one dictating the timing or at least coordinating it.
Yeah.
So it was just mind-boggling to me that there's DJs out here doing weddings that don't even know the basic part of DJing, right?
That's one of my favorite parts of booking a wedding is my wedding form and when they get surprised. When they're like, wow, I didn't even think about this yet, but we do need to know A, B, C, and D. Like I was like, yes, you didn't think about it, but I did.
So I love that too. I love when people say, wow, I didn't even think about this, or I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
like
this is your wedding, not mine.
Because a lot of it is you got to prove to couples that you know what you're doing, and by separating yourself, that's what you're doing. When you tell them something they don't already know, or no other DJ said to them, then they're like, oh, I might need to book this guy because he knows what he's talking about. So my posts, a lot of it, I'm seeing, me and Brian, we worked together for 11 and a half years. I worked for him, as he likes to say. Little slight dig. I worked for him for 11 and a half years, and then when I started my business, the one thing I could DJ with the best of them, humbly speaking. I knew I could DJ with the best of them. But the thing that I was lacking was how to run a business. And he had told me it's not easy, and it's not easy. And in my mind, the whole time I'm thinking it's got to be easy. I mean, if you can do it.
Yeah, it's you, Brian. I love Brian.
Yeah, for sure. But that's one thing that I have to give him his props. It is not easy. Yeah. So when you hear DJs that don't know the timeline, and then I get inquiries of people trying to get only $800. I think there's a reason why, and that's because there's DJs out there that don't know how to do a timeline or don't care to do a timeline. Yeah. So it's something that we're battling. So when I post something, it's because it's mostly just educational. Yeah. At the end of the day, there may have been something that happened, but most of it's just proactive for people that are maybe book a wedding DJ down the road. And it's not to book me. It's just to say, hey, this is something that you need to add to the list of things you don't want DJs to do, unless you're really just trying to get a $500 DJ. Yep. And respect, I respect everybody's budgets. I understand everybody can't spend $30,000 on a wedding. I completely understand that. But at the same time, I'm in a business where I know my value and I know I do a lot more than most DJs. So I'm worth X amount. Yep. But that's where my posts come from. Sometimes they are specific incidents, but it's the only specific incidents are ones that I can't believe are still happening. Right? Yeah. But most of it is just for educational purposes.
I like that. And that's a big part of it, of what we do is giving back, helping new DJs, but also trying to make sure like we're doing justice for each other.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the most important things that we could do in the entertainment industry. And I love that you do that. And you've even talked about instances where you've offered to buy people's boards and take them under your wing. And that's super dope because then that's where everything comes full circle, where you started and now it's like your turn to get back. And I'm excited that you're going to start adding people to your company. So we talked about Brian a couple times. Let's talk about the transition out. So you did GXP for how long?
Yeah, so from 2008, I'd say right around the flood here. Yeah. It was like May, June of 2008. Yeah. To we'd have to probably say January, probably late 2019. Okay. So about 11 and a half years.
Nice.
I was with Brian and GXP, and he had been doing this before I started, probably 13, 14 years before I even started in the business. But I knew right away, well, I would maybe not right away, but I knew maybe a couple years down the road that I was the best asset he's ever had, because I knew he had never had anybody that had more passion. Yeah. There was times where he'd be, an hour away and forgot a chord or something. And I was without fail, dropped everything I did and brought that thing to him,
Nice.
Like I just knew that
I need one of those on my team.
Right. Absolutely. Well, that's kind of what That's kind of what bothered me about us not being able to make it work. Was he knew my value, but wasn't
I get it.
Wasn't willing to
it's a business.
Meet me halfway, right?
Yeah.
It's think about NBA. You go to renegotiate a contract, and the team says, "Well, I can't pay you that much," and they trade him. Tyreek Hill, for instance. That happened. And things like that happen. But I do think at the all in all, and I'm not going to get into too many details about it. I'll let me and Brian kind of hash that out on a podcast one day down the road. But I do think there's a valuable lesson to be learned in going to business with friends. And I think something that everybody can learn from is at the end of the day, some people value the financial side of it more. Some people value the passion and creative side of it more. And that's where there's a friendship of it, and we're all different in that regard. And I respect everybody for whatever it is that they're doing.
Really
I'm not a believer. I'm definitely not a believer that just because you own a business, it should be all about money and that's it, right? I am so fortunate. Nobody really knows my whole story. And maybe someday I'm kind of getting to an age where now I kind of want to tell my story because I think it could inspire somebody and surprise a lot of people. I think, but at the end of the day. I'm so grateful and lucky to not only first of all find a passion. Most people live their life never finding anything that they can say they're passionate about unless they have a kid or something like that. And even then, we probably know some people that aren't very passionate about that. But at the same time, coming from a group, coming from a childhood of 10 kids, me finding something that I was super passionate about, in music. Was something that I can't say about a lot of my other siblings. I can say that about a lot of my friends. I can say that about a lot of people that I don't know. But at the same time, not only have I found a passion, which is already makes me super grateful, but now I have a passion that I get paid to do. And that's isn't that the American dream?
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure that's the American dream, right? Whether you're black, white, orange, green.
Find something you love. When work doesn't feel like work, then you're doing what you're supposed to do.
And that's where I'm at right now is I don't feel like, yes, it's a grind, right? I'm going to do 37 weddings this year. I just did 3 weddings this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and here I am today.
It's crazy.
So, it's nuts. And it does feel like work outside of the wedding part. During the wedding, it doesn't feel. It just feels like I'm doing something that I love to do. That's why I want to be a part of this whole studio thing because I love being here. I love the atmosphere. I love music. I love creation. I love all that.
Being around a bunch of hardworking people.
And it's,
you fit right in perfectly.
It's so there's like I said, I don't believe that just because you run a business, it should be the end all be all should be about the money. I am very motivated by passion. I think that's where kind of the difference between me and Brian was at the crux of it. I think came down to that, and I just outgrew kind of that situation.
Like even
and you should,
no matter friends, passion, like it should have always been a transitional thing. It should have been I work with you, you mentor me. Then at some point we need to be equals. But in order to do that, I feel like you had to start your own business.
Bruce Lee beat his master, right?
Gotcha.
Right? I mean, it's kind of, it should have been, it should be expected at some point. You've trained somebody or taught somebody or brought them under your wing enough to where they should be able to split off and be better, right? And that's the whole point, you know?
Before we go into Energy Wave Entertainment, the transitional period, again, where we intertwine, horrible timing somehow, which I pray wasn't planned this way. But you announced the start of your company as I had joined GXP. Now, there's no situation where I can replace you and your value as a DJ. It's just me becoming an employee of a job. But was that announced the same day?
So, I mean, as far as I remember, me and Brian had a couple talks before, and it just didn't go anywhere.
Went to social media?
Before anything,
That's good.
I wanted to talk to him about how I was feeling as far as the business was concerned. You know, I felt like at this point I was such a great asset to JXP that I felt like I should be compensated for that. You know, and I was never really about the money, but at this point it was like I kind of saw myself, maybe not right away, but eventually like supporting myself in DJing. But it just seemed like I was at a dead end
Yeah.
with GXP. Like I wasn't getting what I thought I was
Well,
valued
you weren't
at.
the same shy,
Right,
glowing,
right,
like you
right.
were. Now you in a way just became the man, and not just a man, but the man
Right.
at what you do. So you can't be put in that same box
Yeah,
anymore
yeah.
and look that way.
Yeah.
You're definitely not the same guy I met at Foot Locker.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was a culmination of things, but and like I said, me and Brian can hopefully hash that out sometime on in public and on a podcast or something.
Yeah.
But essentially, it was about how me and him have just the general thing was I outgrew that situation.
Yeah.
And like we said before, it should happen that way.
yeah, and I felt that Brian's a perfect mentor for me to excel
Absolutely.
and get.
Absolutely.
You know, I think at that time I was still considering myself low tier. This is the
Yeah.
transition I need between low tier and
Yeah.
mid tier. Still
Yeah.
not top tier, but
Of
I
course.
needed that mentorship
Yeah.
that you once had that made you so
Right.
great, which you didn't need anymore. But
Right.
like, so that's where I want to get. Like,
yeah.
what's the post?
So
'cause I
so
think-
to get to that,
Yeah.
so there was I think I went over to his house to talk to him about how I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Not really knowing the outcome of it. There was a couple times and I kind of went with different objectives. I know Brian's a money man, so I was like, well, let me financially
Yeah.
throw some numbers out at him and hopefully that will show
Yeah.
him what
It'll
I'm
make sense.
what I
Yeah.
value, you know. And then I tried the friendship way. Well, dude, we're friends. I don't want to lose
Yeah.
our friendship. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and then the other time was just kind of, you know, another just chat, you know, and nothing was coming out of that.
Yeah.
To a point where actually it got pretty heated. I'll be completely honest, and sorry, Brian, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
And I literally went out to my car and cried.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, frustration will do
yeah,
that. And
frustration.
and this is you guys 11 years.
Yeah,
There's
right,
gotta be
right.
quite a bit
Right.
of frustration between
Right.
and that's
Over
a
money.
friendship.
You know,
That's-
over money
Yeah,
at the
and
end of the
that's
day, you
what
know what
would
I mean?
hurt the most.
So then, and I had at this point, I had done some research on how to start my own business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had done some research on how to. So in the back of my mind, I knew that was an option, but I didn't want that option. I didn't want to leave GXP. Last thing I wanted, I thought I was GXP for life.
Yeah.
But also at this time, Brian was kind of mentioning to me that his son was possibly going to be a part of GXP or maybe take it over at some point. And I thought I was always that guy. And
Yeah.
who am I? At this point, it's like, I can't take a business away from his son.
Right, at all.
You know, I'm not, you know, I feel like I'm family, but at the same time, I'm not his son.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was kind of accumulation of all that stuff.
Yeah,
And then,
that's deep.
so I ended up leaving, you know, my car, I drove off, went home, printed off the LLC paperwork and filed it the next day and just put it in the mail.
Nice.
And it was, then I was like, I can't turn back now.
Yep. Yep.
So then I would say, and maybe my recollection isn't correct, but I would say within the next few days, I went on the website and saw you had replaced me.
Fuck.
And yeah,
Whew, that
you know,
time
it was
is
nothing.
fucking shitty.
It was really bad timing, and part of me wanted to believe that it was Brian being petty. You know, which
We don't know.
don't
We'll
know.
talk to Brian.
When we could talk about it. So part of me felt like he was being petty, and then
And
also
you know what? I will say I do know that when we made the announcement that he did reach out and say, "Hey, we have to make sure that we give Tim his flowers." And we say that you're not replacing, he's irreplaceable. It's like, oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
absolutely feel that
Right.
way. I hope there's no confusion. Like,
Right.
he's got to know that. But me and you didn't talk directly. And I
Right.
think that's where I fucked up, is I should have reached out to you like, hey, just in case. Like, I'm pretty sure you're good. But,
Yeah.
you know, you wouldn't feel the type of way. And
Right.
the fact that you did, I wouldn't even post this shit.
Right,
Like, we'll just, I'll silently
there
come
was-
in and they'll see. Like,
there was nothing he could have done that wouldn't have made me feel some type of way.
Okay,
You know, even if
okay.
he just taking my picture off
Yeah.
by itself would have
Yeah.
been like, damn.
and
you know?
it's something, and that sucks because it's something that you rode for so hard. Even
Right.
at some point, thought that you would inherit the business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I 100% get it from that perspective.
Yeah,
And
and it was nothing against you necessarily.
yeah.
No, it was like I said, anything that would have happened.
Yeah.
Because I bled GXP. You
Yeah,
know, just
yeah.
like I didn't get a tattoo.
Yeah.
But it could have been my first
yeah,
tattoo. You know.
yeah.
I didn't think there was anything else outside of GXP.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm gonna say, you know, follow the GXP podcast.
Hell
you know, all that. Like,
Yeah.
much respect to what Brian's done.
Yeah.
I do feel like we're both in better situations now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was gonna
Do
feel
you
some type
feel
of way
like
about it, no matter what.
It may have saved the friendship. You parting ways would have gotten worse, or you still working on it.
Well, I think at some point in those 11 and a half years, and once again, I would love to, you know, hash this out with Brian. I think some point in that, that business relationship, that the friendship was just by words alone. You know, we said we were friends and we said we loved each other, but at the end of the day, all we talked about was, hey, I owe you this much money, or you owe me this much money, or, you know, here's a check, or come and get this gear, or, you know, so somewhere in there, it kind of flipped.
Yeah, switch from friends to
And
business.
then, to be completely honest, and this is something I haven't even really mentioned to him, I don't think we've ever gotten back to where we were before it flipped.
All right, Brian, we're going to set up an episode of GXP. I'd love to be there. I know it needs to be you guys, but maybe I can mediate or just be, I'll control the camera. But we're going to set that up. So
And
that's
I want to also say this, and this is very important. Like, if he sees this or reads or hears this or whatever, I mean no disrespect. Like, out of all, I'm trying to watch my words. I'm trying to be PG-13 and PR and all that. So I don't mean anything.
we're using his equipment, so I hope you don't feel
But the truth is the truth, you know, and how I felt is how I felt, and he felt some type of way, I'm sure, too. And I would love to have him tell his side, you know, and maybe do us together. Like, I'm definitely down for that.
Like I said,
but I don't want this to come off as being any type of disrespectful to him or anything like that.
Yeah, Brian's my brother. I love that
He opened the door for me. I just kicked that motherfucker in.
Yep, same here. So shout out to Brian. Thank you for that.
sure.
We definitely have to do a GXP episode. That's gonna be much needed. Since our last one, I think I could sense you were on your way out the last time the three of us did a podcast. So things got a little crazy there. I'm trying. There's so much to talk about. Let's transition. So Energy Wave Entertainment. Where'd the name come from? How have you liked the business part of things?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm learning from you even this episode, like how I need to conduct my business, because mine is very handshake, friendship based. And then there is times that it get awkward about money. Like, hey, you know, I don't really care about money, but you haven't paid me. Oh, well, I thought we were good because of blah, blah.
Contracts, my brother.
And
contracts.
we do contracts
That's
and
good.
handshakes,
That's good.
but it's still, I don't press anybody for money.
Yeah.
I understand life and
Sure.
shit happening, so I don't press. Like, hey man, you gotta pay me now. But then it's like, but you do have to pay me eventually
At some point.
and it gets awkward because I am all about the friendship. And if you can't do it, hey, let's just take a break. Let's just, you know.
Absolutely.
So how has that been for Energy Wave Entertainment?
So that was the hardest part, was, you know, going through this with Brian, the transition. You know, like I said, I had already kind of had a path. You know, I was driving on an interstate and I had an exit that said, create your own business. I had an exit that said, you know, keep going with GXP. I had an exit that said, you know, get out of the industry completely.
Ooh,
you know,
I'm glad you didn't know that one.
I had options, and I chose the exit that said create your own business. Yeah. Now, it was super impulsive because I had no idea how to run a business, but during this time, NYJ, shouts out to Jason, NYJ. I've known him for so long, and he's been, just like Brian was, he's been a huge mentor to me. But he was one of the guys that pushed me, like, do your own thing, do your own thing, kind of pushed me off the cliff.
Yeah.
But at this time, I was DJing at Rewind.
Yeah.
And that was such a crazy experience. Shouts out to Nasser, one of my homies. You know, unfortunately, it's closed recently, but what was cool about that was when he first hired us all, I think there was 4 of us, and it was all the DJs we've talked about, the NYJ, the Brian Lee, me, a Commando. Yeah. And even in Nasser's mind, I was it was like buy 3, get 1 free.
Oh,
Kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But then he saw like my professionalism, and he saw my passion, and he saw my what I'm capable of doing.
Rewind almost became synonymous with
Verbatim. And he kind of
that's crazy. I didn't know the beginnings of that.
Yeah, he didn't know me very well. Like, he saw me DJ at cocktails a few times when he was a bartender. Yeah. But he didn't, but he's in his own world doing the bartending thing. He's not really caring what the DJ's doing. Yeah. But then Rewind gave me a chance to kind of show him what I was capable of, right? Yep. And I ended up being one of the last ones there. Yeah. But what happened was, during that time, and I'll shouts out, but Amanda Campbell, she runs Tire Train. Yep. If you guys are looking for a gym to go to, hit up tiretrain.com. One of the best fitness centers that you're gonna find, and it's locally owned and all that. Shouts out to her. But she came in one day with a couple of her friends, and first time I'd ever known her. She said she's seen me before, but this is the first time I'd ever met her. And during the night, she kept saying, "Man, I love your vibe. I love your energy. You know, I love your energy." And then when she said that, then the next few gigs I've done after that, people were like, "Your energy is wild. Your energy." So I knew when I did end up going on my own and starting my own business that I had to have energy involved in it.
Yeah.
Because I want people to know that that's kind of what separates me from everybody else. So then I just thought, okay, energy, obviously it's entertainment. I'm going to do a lot of entertainment things. You know, I'm going to try to do movie theater nights. I'm going to try to do, you know, coordination, wedding coordination. I'm going to try to do a bunch of different things. Because another passion of mine is ownership and being an owner, businessman. So I knew energy had to be a part of it. I knew entertainment had to be a part of it. And it just so happened that Energy Wave kind of sounded cool to me. It. So Energy Wave Entertainment is kind of what I came up with. I ended up getting a logo off of Fiverr, an app that somebody
Everybody
from
needs
Pakistan.
to know Fiverr.
So, and actually, as we're currently speaking, I'm rebranding.
Okay.
With a professional graphic designer. Somebody actually I DJ'd her wedding in May.
Ooh, okay.
And now she's kind of turning it back on me and helping me design my new logo and kind of my whole new aesthetic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it all started. Energy Wave. Energy, I knew that was my separation point.
Your energy.
And then
is different
Energy
from every
Wave.
other
Yeah,
DJ.
yeah. I just knew that was going to separate me from everybody else. You go to one of my gigs and you know, you're gonna see me dancing out on the dance floor with everybody else. You're gonna see me back there rapping with everybody, you know, with the words or with the lyrics or whatever. It's gonna be a different vibe. So I wanted to kind of separate myself. So Energy Wave Entertainment is what I came up with.
That's so dope. That's so dope. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
I love it. You got one hell of a story, man, and I've picked up a lot of gems already. So we got one more big topic, and then we get to the fun stuff too.
Sure.
The Iowa Music Awards.
Yes, sir.
Do you think I was ready for an award ceremony? Do you think they deserve it, or are we there?
Well, I'm gonna say shouts out to you for even coming up with this idea, because it never was even on my radar, to be completely honest. Because I didn't think, you know, I've always known Iowa's a talented place, right? But you don't see it like compared to like a California or even like a, you know. Shoot, even like a Ohio. I mean, you know,
They mix our names up a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say they do mix the names up, but the talent, you know, you had a Dave Chappelle that came out of there, or Cat Williams that came out of Ohio. You know, like I know that's a whole different than music, but at the same time, that's huge. Those are huge names.
Yeah.
Iowa's had some people come out, but when I saw you announce this, I didn't think we were ready. But then I've gotten seen the feedback that you've gotten from it, and like, okay, maybe there is something, you know, and especially with this being the first year, you know, there's always room to grow, you know. But I think we're gonna have a great turnout for this, and then who knows what the future brings, you know. I've mentioned a couple things that I think we could maybe consider, but you know, take that or leave it. It's just an opinion of little old me.
Well, I do want you to dive into what do you think the qualifications for best DJ should be?
I think they should be real DJs. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that should be a thing. I don't think it should just be anybody that can put DJ in front of their name.
Right.
I think very foundational stuff. Like, I feel like you should know what a BPM is. I feel like you should know. You should actually have a controller at least. You know, you may not have to do vinyl or anything like that. And obviously, maybe not obviously, but I was brought on the digital, so I can do vinyl, but I've never had to or never needed to. But I think it should be very, you know, when you think of a DJ, what do you think of? You know, I think it should be more than just playing music. At the end of the day, I think it should be more than playing music. So what I suggested to you is have a different category for like karaoke hosts.
And you said you started as a karaoke
and I started,
host, so I definitely get why. Personally, you see a distinction.
There's a different skill set.
And me personally, I will like I won't even say love hate. I've never liked karaoke.
Me neither.
I've never liked it. Damn, even when you were doing it?
Yeah.
Oh shit. So I've never DJ'd. I've never done a karaoke a night. I refuse to. I don't want to say it's like disrespectful to the artist or anything. It's fun. I've done it for the first time 2 years ago where I actually got up and sang.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
being
for
my
sure.
age and never doing karaoke, I can't have the appreciation and love for it. Now I do see that it's fun and it's a release, and then it's all about the fun and being drunk and stuff.
Absolutely.
From a business perspective, I've always looked at it as I don't want these motherfuckers touching my mic.
Right,
Somebody
right.
drop it. They're
Right.
screaming in my shit. Like, so I've always looked at it from that aspect and never had a desire to ever do karaoke. And then I think about, I got to download these videos. I got to have an internet connection. It's always been a technical thing. So no disrespect to you karaokeers. It's just the business and technical side never made sense to me.
Yeah.
So, you know, the distinction, I absolutely get it.
I can relate to all that. So for me, you know, even beyond like the dropping the mic possibilities and things like that, for me, like I said, I won't say I hated it. I just know that I probably won't host karaoke again.
Damn. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
The crazy thing for me is, you know, as I mentioned before in this conversation, I was a shy kid growing up. Karaoke is actually where I came out of my shell because I was forced to be behind a microphone. So it kind of
your world has
it kind of served
spent upside down in the words of Will Smith.
Yeah. It kind of served as the foundation for the type of DJ that I am now because I think my personality is my best asset.
Yeah.
Especially behind a microphone. Yeah. But what it did for me was it ruined the music that I loved so much growing up. Yep. You know, like you got people in there that, hey, I want to sing Whitney Houston. Okay, well, for me,
like,
Whitney Houston, you better bring it.
Hit that
you can't just say Whitney Houston just because you're saying Whitney Houston, you know. And I had some people that could kill Whitney Houston, just murder it. Yeah. But then I had some people that were just kind of making fun of it, and that's where the disrespect came.
Yep. See, okay, we think alike in that aspect.
It was fun, like you said, it was fun. Yeah. But people are more concerned with getting drunk instead of respecting the music.
It's more like, hey, let's make an ass of myself real quick, and everybody's gonna laugh. So it's more comedy than appreciation for music. And me being an artist is where it just draws the line.
We relate because it's the same way for me because the music I loved, you know, if you're trying to do Usher or you're trying to do Chris Brown or you're trying to do Whitney Houston or Mariah Carey, like you got to bring it. You can't.
One I discovered I can do very well is Cisco's thong song. There's a yell that he does that I didn't know that I could do, but I tried it in karaoke, absolutely loved it. But
I never sing. I can't sing, but I can rap my ass off. Like I can do my go-to is "Ride with Me" by Nelly.
Oh, nice.
But I can do like "Look at Me Now." I can do Busta's
Busta's part.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think I want to hear this.
I actually did that at a wedding once. Actually in August, they told me one of the groomsmen can do it. Yeah. So I had a final consultation with them, and they told me the groom could do it. A groomsman, and I was like, oh, really? Because it's hard to have one person in the room that can bust out busters, pun intended. Yeah. But I was like, this would be cool. So me and him, and I ended up, he came and requested it. He came and requested it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this a moment. So I brought 2 microphones down. I had one for myself, had one for him, and me and him are in the middle of the dance floor just killing it. And the groom's videotaping us the whole time. And I was like, it's probably one of the top weddings I've ever done, just because they allowed me to be myself. I didn't have to be professional Tim. I had to be entertainer Tim. Yeah. You know, and that was like awesome. You know, you don't really get an opportunity to do that.
Can you do it a cappella?
No.
Oh, I was about to say we're gonna make a moment right now. But I know I love that part, and that's super dope that you're able to do that. And that's another thing that goes back to the weddings. Like you're not gonna find another DJ that's gonna make a moment like that.
No,
and that moment's gonna last them the rest of their life.
Not all weddings call for that either. No, you know, some weddings just aren't that way. You know, I also had the graphic designer that is working with me now. I did her wedding, and there was a part there where so the timeline got messed up. The caterer was slow, so it took us a long time to get food and everybody get ate. So we had to cut things off at the end, and we only had like an hour and a half to dance. So luckily they liked EDM music, so that hour and a half felt like it was 3 hours because it was just all super high energy, 128, 30, 130 BPMs. Well, there was one song they had on there that is one of my favorite songs of all time, and it's "Fucking Problems" by A$AP Rocky and Drake and Kendrick. Yeah. So I think I said on the microphone, I was like, well, we're almost done, ladies and gentlemen, but I have one song that I want to play just because it's one of my favorites and it's on the list of songs to play. Nice. And so I played that.
Yeah.
And I go out in the middle of the dance floor and I'm just kind of like mumbling it. You know, I know the whole rap or whatever, everybody's parts. And so I'm just kind of blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden, I see the bride running out to the middle of the dance floor and she's going, like, we're rap battling at this point. And I had never had that happen before. You know, never had a bride be willing enough to kind of show herself that way.
Yeah.
And so me and her just in the middle of the dance floor, just, you know, the whole thing. So it was like one of those moments like that stuff is the kind of stuff that you know, shows me that I'm in the right business, right? Yeah. I'm doing the right thing. Yeah. So just a couple of little stories there, but yeah, at the end of the day, there's some weddings that allow me to be a better version of myself, and there's some weddings where I have to be professional, and I'm cool with either or. You know, I'm gonna give them the best regardless.
There we go. This man has been selling this whole episode. At the end of the day, book verbatim.
But I'm very, you know, going back to the music awards, you know, once again, shout out to everybody that's going to be involved. I'm super excited about it or what it can do or what it can be. I'm
something
a little
to strive for every year.
Yeah. I'm just excited to see what it looks for. I'm excited to see what you come up with because I'm sure you always go all out, whether it's a small little party or something as huge as this. So I'm kind of excited for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a ceremony. It's gonna be a celebration. It's gonna be a lot of fun, no matter what. I'm excited for you. You are definitely one of my favorite DJs in Iowa, and knowing, like, having close relationships with at least 5 to 10 DJs in Iowa, and they all work their ass off. But like, if I was the person to vote for hardest working DJ, it's you.
Oh,
like,
thank you.
You
Thank
fucking
you.
kill it.
Thank you.
And then knowing your upbringing, where you came from, it's fucking amazing.
That's the part that I think that's the part that I think people don't know about me. You know, like even Brian, he worked for me for so long. He doesn't know my story. You know, like details, and not a lot of people do because we were so sheltered growing up. But that's why I love doing what I do so much, because I came from what I came from, and I've created something without the help of parents. You know, so
I thought of the title of the episode like probably 5 questions ago, but I want to know if you're okay with it or if you have something better. But I was thinking it's stepping out and standing out. Because I feel like that's what you did. And like I said, it goes back to your family, from GXP or just from the DJs. You made sure you stepped out from, you know, where you were boxed in, and you stand out. With everything
I love that.
Do.
Yeah, that's legit. I like that. I like that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is kind of funny too. So, speaking about the awards, so actually the reason why I even submitted was kind of petty.
I love it. I love pettiness.
Because I was worried that real DJs weren't gonna get a legitimate chance. You know, so I just wanted to put my name in the hat. To give it some legitimacy. You know, there's a lot of DJs that I don't know, you know, like in Waterloo or, you know, even Des Moines. I know some of them.
I've met a ton because of this.
Yeah, I bet you have. So there's a lot of them that I didn't know, but I saw one guy that I would consider a karaoke host more than a DJ, and I was like, no, it can't go down like this.
Not like this.
Not like this. Like whether I win it or not, like I just wanted to be able to be like, hey, there are real DJs being represented here. Because I think if a karaoke host were to win,
it ruins the legitimacy of the ceremony and event.
And I'm not, once again, I don't want to disrespect anybody. Everybody has their own hustle, but at the end of the day, I think for those DJs, and not even including myself, but those DJs that have put their time into the craft, if somebody like that would win, that doesn't even own turntables or anything, like, you know, at that point, what is a DJ?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So actually, it was kind of petty, you know.
No, I needed
to come in. You know, I just wanted to put my name in a hat to give, you know, to represent real DJs. Whether or not I got the fan vote or whether or not I got the nomination or whatever, didn't really necessarily matter to me. I just wanted a real name to be up there. And humbly speaking,
I love that. So allow me to elaborate on it, and it's not just for you, but it's for everybody. So one concern that I've gotten from people, and I need to do a FAQ thing, is this a popularity contest? So the fan voting, the answer would be yes. The fan voting is who's the most popular, but it's also a way for us to do research. Even if you're not the winner of the fan voting, and by the time this episode comes out, it'll already be announced. So the DJ that won the fan voting is DJ Nita out of Dubuque. I've actually never met her, never heard her, but she also did an online submission as well. So we got to hear her, and we're still going to evaluate who wins the other. So there's 5 slots.
Sure.
There's the 5 nominees. One is the fan vote, so she's got that one locked in.
Yep.
There's 4 other
Shouts out to her.
nominees that's going to be selected. Are you familiar with her at all?
No.
And that's the beauty of this is we
Yeah,
all
I
get
love
to
that.
network
Right.
and research.
Right.
So there's 4 other slots that will be filled, and they're just based off submission. So even if you're not heard of, you didn't receive a single vote, you still can win Best DJ of the Year.
Yeah, okay.
So some of the things
Dope.
that we're looking at as an academy, and I set the rules for the academy, but I'm not a part of the voting process. I don't want it to be seen biased or anything.
Right.
So I've got people from all over Iowa. Brian is actually a part of the academy. He's one of the DJs that
He's the worst.
So he's gonna get to vote. You might have blew that with this episode.
Yeah.
No, but it's not just gonna come down to one. Well, it could come down to one vote. Anyway, we'll be looking at I'm going to see DJ Nita in person. And
Awesome.
a couple of my
Awesome.
staff members and academy members
yeah.
are going to see her as well.
As you should.
We're going to evaluate based on how you perform, how
Yeah.
you interact, what equipment you're using. Do you have a mix? And none of these things disqualify you.
Right.
So if she's able to do what we do with just a computer, hey, bro,
Yeah.
that's actually a little more impressive.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
She's fucking
Yeah,
spinning
yeah.
and scratching on that
Yeah.
and blending. Like,
Or knows the keys.
yeah, like
shortcuts.
if you're killing it that way,
Yeah.
you just are.
Yeah, it's kinda harder.
But there's some people that hey, they're on FM radio, but that doesn't make them the
Right.
best DJ. So we're gonna evaluate performance. Presentation's a big part. Brian's always on my ass about chords. So I come to your.
There's one
your
thing,
set,
Brian,
and you got chords all over the
For
motherfucking
sure.
place.
For sure.
That's something we
You're gonna
may
hear
look
about
at.
it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's gonna come down to who has the overall package.
Yeah.
But it's not a
Good.
popularity contest. Even if a karaoke DJ was to get the most votes, that's 1 out of 5 slots, and then we'll still be evaluating what else do you do besides that.
Right.
We can't have you, and I won't say that a newcomer can't win, but I will say that if you just started DJing last month, I'm not gonna. You wouldn't get my vote.
Right.
I will have that in the notes started this year or this month.
Right.
And then I'll have in the notes this person started 10 years ago, done 37 weddings this year, has a residency here,
Sure.
has a mixed show here. We'll look at credentials. Nothing disqualifies you, but we will be fair.
You
and
want
evaluate.
somebody that checks all the boxes.
Exactly.
essentially,
Or
which
more boxes than everyone
yeah,
else.
Right.
So,
And I love that because that's, like I said, the reason why I even did it was out of pity or pettiness. So
No, I'm not mad at
I just wanted to make sure that the real DJs were represented, whether or not I wanted or not. I don't consider myself the best DJ necessarily, and maybe I shouldn't say that in a award ceremony of best DJs. But
maybe this is part of your speech you may be giving. We'll
but
find
I am,
out.
yeah. But I pride myself on always, like I said, pushing myself. I don't ever want to be the best DJ because then I'll stop working.
Yep.
I'll stop working to be the best.
Yep.
Like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. They wanted to be the greatest. Kobe never considered himself the greatest. I think Michael, just because of everybody else, considers himself the greatest. But I found a lot of inspiration in that, where Kobe wasn't going to work as hard if he didn't see that he wasn't the best yet.
Yeah.
If he felt like he was the best, then he'd probably retire.
Yep.
He stopped working, and I don't want to ever be that guy. I still have too much passion and love for what I do that it's going to be hard for me to hang it up right away. And I see a lot of people, some of the guys that came before me who have lost that passion, and I can see what it does, when it becomes just about the money. Like, I want to make this, and I got to make this, and I got to do this, and I got to do, and it's like, I don't ever want to be that guy. I don't ever want to just DJ because I make money doing it.
Yeah.
I want to DJ until I don't inspire people, essentially. That's the day I'm going to hang up the headphones.
I love it.